The president of France is suing Candace Owens after claiming that the CIA is controlling Emmanuel Macron and that Brigitte Macron is secretly a transgender man. Candace Owens has been slapped by the mother of all defamation suits. We've seen YouTubers getting sued by celebrities before, but we've never heard of a foreign government publicly going to war with a commentator before. So what's really going on here? Is this a publicity stunt? A conspiracy breaking open? Or the moment YouTubers find out political speech has real-world consequences? Candace Owens is a right-wing commentator and YouTuber who has managed to build a large following for herself via social media. She also prides herself as an investigative journalist, as she sometimes uncovers stories that the mainstream media are, according to her, too scared to tell. One of those stories is, of course, the Brigitte Macron one, which she's covered in extreme depth at this point. On June 17, 2024, Candace uploaded a video titled, "So, is Brigitte Macron a man?" And in it, she alleges that there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that proves Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, is married to a man.
You are officially a very goofy man, Brigitte. But I gotta give it to you, you've definitely got balls. Fire everybody around you, and I mean literally everyone around you who told you that this was a good idea.
What do you think? Has Candace Owens crossed a line? Or is she just asking uncomfortable questions? Drop your take in the comments below. Let's see what the internet thinks. In a story originally covered by French journalists, she claims that Brigitte was born a male named Jean-Michel Tragneau, whom the public recognizes as Brigitte's older brother. Candace Owens implies that no such older brother exists, that Jean-Michel was simply Brigitte before she transitioned, and that Brigitte is lying about her age. She also claims that there is no evidence of Brigitte existing for the first 30 years of her life. Candace suggests Brigitte faked childhood photos using images of her daughter and recoloring them to pass as her own. Then she ups the ante. Brigitte fathered her 3 kids. Yep, you heard that right. And then finally, Candace presented a picture from Brigitte's youth and claimed that she once wore scarves for an entire year because it was right around the same time that she had surgery done on her Adam's apple. The deeper she went, the stranger it got. Candace also didn't fail to mention the strange relationship Brigitte Macron struck up with Emmanuel Macron when she was a nearly 40-year-old teacher and he was just a 14-year-old student. But more importantly than that, Candace alleges that the Macrons are abusing their political power by having the Secret Service intimidate the journalists uncovering this story. These are very serious allegations, and it wasn't the first time she's brought them to light. Earlier in the year, in March 2024, Candace had reported the exact same story whilst she was still affiliated with the Daily Wire, and she reportedly said she would stake her career on this being true. She said on X at the time, "This episode is blowing up, so I just want to say, after looking into this, I would stake my entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is in fact a man. Any journalist or publication that is trying to dismiss this plausibility is immediately identifiable as establishment. I have never seen anything like this in my life. The implications here are terrifying." But before the lawyers could strike, the warnings got louder. So those were the claims, and she would go on to repeat them a couple of times before starting her dedicated docuseries titled Becoming Brigitte. At that point, she had already been contacted by a legal team representing the Macrons and sent a 100-page document warning her about the possibility of a defamation lawsuit, ordering a cease and desist and recommending she walk back her slanderous comments. But Candace states that the warning letter was a sign of panic from the Macrons and that it was filled with deflections and technical corrections. Most importantly, she said the document offered no proof of the vital details such as Brigitte Macron being born a female and whether or not she delivered 3 children. Candace claims that her pointed questions went unanswered, and after giving them 10 days to respond, she pressed on with her Becoming Brigitte series. The attorney for the Macrons has a different story. He claims that in their complaint, they provided Candace Owens with all the necessary information to disprove her claims and answer her questions. And then, following her introduction to the Becoming Brigitte series on January 31st, 2025, where she revealed the details of the first complaint from the French family, Candace published episode 1 of the series on February 4th, 2025, where she revealed she had been sent another warning letter from the legal team representing the Macrons. So that doesn't look too good for Candace, especially in the context of a defamation case, and it is clear as day that before the legal team considered filing an official lawsuit, they tried multiple times to reason with her. and according to their word, sent her all the necessary evidence she needed, but she just doubled down anyway. If you're still watching at this point, hit that subscribe button because what happens next takes this from drama to full-blown international meltdown. And thus, in late July 2025, Candace Owens was officially hit with a defamation case. This is where things go from YouTuber drama to potential legal ruin. The paper trail is undeniable, and Candace knew they were coming. The lawsuit, which was officially filed on July 23, 2025 in the Superior Court of the State of Delaware, alleges that Owens has used this false statement to promote her independent platform, gained notoriety, and make money. Owens disregarded all credible evidence disproving her claim in favor of platforming known conspiracy theorists and proven defamers. And rather than engage with President and Mrs. Macron's attempts to set the record straight, Owens mocked them and used them as additional fodder for her frenzied fan base. Moving further in the document, they state how serious their claim is and the severity of the defamation by Candace Owens. Retaliating against the Macrons for the audacity of sending her a retraction demand, Owens helmed an 8-part podcast series entitled Becoming Brigitte, the series, and accompanying X posts. Throughout the series, Owens and her entities, Candace Owens LLC and George Tom Inc., endorsed, repeated, and published a series of verifiably false and devastating lies about the Macrons, on which this complaint is based. These outlandish, defamatory, and far-fetched fictions included that Mrs. Macron was born a man, stole another person's identity, and transitioned to become Brigitte. Mrs. Macron and President Macron are blood relatives committing incest. President Macron was chosen to be the president of France as part of the CIA-operated MK-Ultra program or a similar mind control program, and Mrs. Macron and President Macron are committing forgery, fraud, and abuses of power to conceal these secrets. This document was over 200 pages long, detailing almost every last one of Candace Owens' claims and the possible damage they may have caused. Looking at an example from the Becoming Brigitte series, in the introduction episode, she almost implies that the Macrons had a journalist executed when she was investigating this story. Candace Owens can always state that she wasn't making any sort of implication there, but it's a very reckless thing to mention without any proof of the Macrons being involved in her death. Another example of the sort of investigation Candace conducted in her Becoming Brigitte series was in episode 1, where she establishes a connection between the Macrons and a prominent feminization surgeon. So there is some merit to the claims that Candace makes in her docuseries, most especially revolving around the strange age gap between Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Macron. But following the lawsuit and all the renewed attention and revenue that this has brought in for Candace Owens, she remains unfazed by the situation and has instead doubled down on her claims against the First Lady of France. But Tom Clare, one of the lawyers representing the Macrons, states that he welcomes this from Candace Owens and that it only helps their case because she hasn't shown any remorse since all this began. He also mentions that several attempts to reach and reason with Candace Owens fell on deaf ears, as she even started a merch campaign defaming Brigitte Macron. Because nothing screams innocence like selling t-shirts about your defamation case. And on top of all that, Tom Clare claims that a lot of this conspiracy theory has been spread by Candace Owens, as major publications cite her as the source. Tom Clare has stated that the Macrons would like an apology, but he understands that's one of the most unlikely things to come out of Candace Owens at this point. Just recently, on August 3rd, 2025, Candace tweeted to her more than 6 million followers saying, "Never in a million years would Vladimir Putin sue an American podcaster." Why is that? What does this prove about Emmanuel Macron? He has no real power. He is utterly insignificant and therefore fully dependent upon his image in the press to delude people into believing otherwise. And now, the whole world is watching. So the slander is bound to continue, and this is probably going to be a long and bitter trial. One undeniable thing is that Candace Owens has certainly spread this story to far more people than before. Her Becoming Brigitte series has almost 30 million views on YouTube at this point, and another thing that's undeniable is that this lawsuit and attention from the French president will only serve to boost those numbers. In any case, we've never seen a defamation lawsuit on this scale before, and it could change the course of political commentary forever. Let's see how it all unfolds. This might be the most bizarre defamation case YouTube has ever seen, but it won't be the last. Whether Candace is calling out truth or spinning pure chaos, one thing's for sure, she's dragged this story into the global spotlight. If you made it this far, like this video, drop a comment and subscribe, because the next political commentator to get sued by a government might be your favorite creator.